Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Was a Hollow. Anyways, besides that, let's get started. Deku's father was an adventurer. He loved to collect things and many other types of artifacts. Soul Reapers and Hollows do exist. Quincy's, Fullbringers, and all other things besides related to Soul Reapers or Hollows do not exist. So yes, meaning that there is only yin and a yang. There is no other parts of soul societies and whatnot. Anyways, what would happen is that over time, soul society will forget about hollows and will forget about Earth, as Earth's balance will be uneasy. And due to soul society not wanting to take care of hollows, they will forge all the leftover hollows into a mask, creating this mask you see in front of you. And what would happen is that, how would you say is that Deku would be born a Soul Reaper, a natural born Soul Reaper, due to Soul Reapers haven't been on Earth for so long, or at least in, this land, I guess, in reference. Meaning that Deku will be the yin and the hollow mask will be a yang. Being the last remaining hollow, it will be like a Menace Grande, but full of like millions of, I guess, hollows. As soon as someone puts it on, it will technically but technically free all the hollows. Meaning that the hollows and cycles will start all over again as the natural balance reappears as of the ecosystem. Hisashi Midoriya, which is Deku's father, will be a adventurer, collecting masks, collecting rewards and treasures from dungeons and whatnot, in ancient ruins. He would eventually find a hollow mask, feeling something that is missing, so he would pick it up and, bring it home. And what would happen is that Hisashi, more on the lines, would not give it to Deku, but give it to Deku when he is, I guess, very young, I guess. They would have it as, an antique for now, until a couple years Deku was finally born. Deku child, baby boy. And what he would do is that, let's say Deku and the Hollow Mask were in the same room, or the Hollow Mask was in the room at the time, due to it being, I guess, some reasons need to be moved around, or the mask itself would just, move on its own. Hisashi Midoriya will not understand this, but he would just think he'll misplace it every time the Hollow Mask will move. Eventually, the Hollow Mask will find baby Izuku, he would say. And the baby Izuku would put on the mask, freeing all of the hollows that have been inside of it for the past, who knows how long. That's a pretty long time. So yeah, that's a long time. By the way, spiritual pressure, quirks, and all that other BS are completely different things. So yes, completely different things. Anyways, what would happen is that just a giant eruption of hollow energy or spiritual pressure will be released, as everyone in the world will feel it. Not, they wouldn't be able to pinpoint the direction, but they'll feel like something just got released that wasn't supposed to be released, or something was missing, and now that that thing is missing and not returned, something feels wrong, they would say, or they will sense. And that will awaken Deku's, how do you say, Soul Reaper powers. And unlike Ichigo, Deku would be the Soul Reaper, born naturally from the ecosystem. And the hollow mask would be the darkness, light and darkness, practically. Human, or technically Deku would be the light, and the hollow mask would be the darkness. What would happen is that this dude will be formed by many hollows, fighting his way through hollows, eating and absorbing power. This will be the form of Hollow Ichiku. Not technically Hollow Deku, I guess, or just Hollow. I wouldn't really give him a name since he's not really part of Izuku, but he's an entity, a hollow entity, created by destroying a decent amount of hollows. Stronger than a Menace Grande, which is technically 1,000 hollows, or 100 hollows. And what would happen is that he would be released. But due to some certain Soul Reapers that knew what they're doing to seal away the hollows inside the mask, all other hollows will escape except for him. So the first person who puts on the mask is where this hollow will reside. Practically like Nine Tails being sealed. So this hollow will be still inside Izuku's mind, guiding him. Or more like trying to control his body, but due to being a Soul Reaper and whatnot, and being sealed inside of him, Deku would naturally be the quiet kid in class. Of course, he would be bullied due to being quirkless eventually. They will see him as quirkless and start making fun of him. And from there it goes downhill. When Bakugo, I guess Bakugo wouldn't really be his friend because Bakugo will sense that something's bad with him, thinking that he will eventually become a villain, and realizing that he was quirkless, he will bully him even more. And what would happen is that this dude over here, eventually, he will come into the picture in a couple of, I guess, minutes, I guess. So, yes. Also, if you want to know what happened to the mask after, the entire release of Hollows, the mask broke. Like, it was just broke. Hisashi tried to repair it, because, he still thinks it's just a normal antique. It would end up turning into dust. And Hisashi will think of this as age. So, yeah. After that, kindergarten, first grade, and all the other jazz, Deku would be outcasted by society. And Hisashi would leave hearing the noise that Izuku was quirkless. Or at least, Hisashi would, go overseas, at least. He would go overseas. Not knowing that the Soul Society had a precaution. Whoever grabbed the Hollow Mask would be executed. Human or not human. Meaning that while Hisashi is overseas, he will get assassinated by either a captain or just a normal Soul Reaper. But due to lots of, hollows being released, like thousands and whatnot, millions, it would probably be a captain executing Hisashi. What captain? What was his name? Flip. Hold up, Byakuga, Kachuki. Oh my god, I'm butchering this name. Byakuya, I'm not saying his last name because I'll butcher that last name. Kuchiki. I think that's how you say it. Byakuya, yeah. Why? Because let's say his, Rukia got hurt by a hollow. And, he wanted, and the person who started the entire hollow thing again. So, yeah. that happened, and due to them being lazy, the Soul Society would just continue on looking for, the mask, or, eventually seeing that, the mask turned into dust, or the presence of the mask has now disappeared due to it, this was just a normal mask, or a hollow mask, as it was separated all over the world, practically, I guess, Japan. Yeah. So, hollows, accidents, natural disasters would all be caused by hollows nowadays, due to the just amount of pure numbers of the hollows. Yes, hollows, yes, Soul Reapers will come and try to defeat the hollows, and, have them at bay, but they will, still, Menace Grande will come, and, things will happen, so, kind of, not chaotic, but due to heroes and whatnot, things will happen, and they'll have to keep it, on the border of things. So yes, hollows, due to them being smart, they will only find those who are alone and not out in the open. Because out in the open, you'll easily be spotted by a Soul Reaper and executed. So yes. Anyways, back to Izuku. Izuku will pretend to be happy. But, as you see, he's not really happy. He's pretending to be happy. And Deku or Bakugo would be furious by this, not seeing any reaction towards Deku besides a smile. And so, as Deku says the phrase, take a swan dive off a roof and maybe you'll get a quirk in your next life, that will technically happen. As Deku runs to the roof and jumps off, leaving all his belongings. He would jump, and then like 15 minutes later, he will reappear back next to his book bag on the roof. He thought it was a dream, but it did happen. It was just the Soul Reaper, or more like the Hollow, because if he dies, the Hollow dies. So yes, the Hollows technically didn't reverse him, but kind of floated, made him float back. Nobody was around, but eventually he would find out, but he will think of it as a dream, more of a dream than an actual event. And it would be that day where it was the end of class and everything will happen, as both phrases were saying on different days. So the end of the school year will appear. Teacher will, push up and throw papers around. I know you all want to be heroes, and what would happen is that Deku would be very quiet about this, and people would see that he would be a lot more distant, and this will, slowly but surely, people will find this out, because, little Bakugo, as, they aged up, Deku would stop going towards Bakugo, instead of being on his butt 24/7, so yeah. And eventually, at this point, Deku would full on just avoid Bakugo, not just avoid him, but personally avoid him, and when I mean avoid him, I mean when he gets the chance to disappear from Bakugo's sights, he will do so. So yes. And after that day, Deku would have to get his notebook that got thrown out the window, because he did grab his things, but Deku still had that argument, or this time when Deku looked back at Bakugo to argue with him, Deku's eyes were different. What do you mean by different? One of his eyes were this color, the hollow color. So yeah. Anyways, besides that, what would happen is that... What would happen? I'm sorry, I'm talking too fast. What would happen is that everything will go on. Bakugo will think it'll be a bit weird, but due to sun shining on Deku's face, he would think it was just the effect of the sun. So yeah, or a certain degree that the lighting is seeing, and as well, everything would continue. Deku would continue to get his notebook from the pond, or not pond, but the fountain. As in canon, Deku is not like it's canon, and as canon, also canon, Deku would go under the bridge as the sludge monster would attack, and as soon as the sludge monster starts to suffocate Deku, Deku would start to see this face. Oh, here, top right corner. He would start to see that face every time he was about to die. What is happening? Am I gonna die here? As his thoughts are roaming. As he is sad that he is going to die, but he's not finished with what he has to do. He wants to become a hero. He wants to do all this other stuff before he wants to die. And that's when I am here. Detroit Smash! You needed such a smash! As canon, All Might would appear out of nowhere. This man got super speed and yet somehow can't guide his way through flipping sewers, but you know what? It is what it is. So yeah. Anyways, what would happen is that Deku, like Ken, would grab All Might's foot, and everything will happen like usual, except when Deku and All Might have that talk. Deku would, All Might would still say no, but in a more serious tone, that no, you can get hurt and you should be a cop and whatnot, or just stay out of the line of heroism. You don't want to get hurt, because let's say there is, instead of a 20 or 30% chance of being quirkless, there are 10% chance of being quirkless. So 10% of the world is quirkless. And yeah, quirkless people would be a lot more disrespected due to them being a lot more rare and people not caring about them as much. So yes, and what would happen is that Deku would be filled with anger and determination. And he would have this spark in his mind, losing all respect for All Might and all the inspiration he got from All Might. And what would happen is that Deku would no longer believe in heroes, thinking that their way of taking down people are unconclusive, that villains should die, kind of like a Stain, but more of a Red Hood type of outlook on life. You should kill villains instead of save them. So yeah, anyways, as also the sludge villain attack on Bakugo would still happen, and as Bakugo getting attacked, All Might, instead of going down the stairs a bit faster, he would first chew out Deku, telling Deku that you wasted my time and now I don't have enough time to save that civilian and whatnot. And then he will continue on walking on. Deku would, be broken at this point, heartbroken that his own, hero, number one hero in his mind, just said that. And what would happen is that Deku would, yes, he would still do the same thing, helping out Bakugo and, throwing his book back at the sludge villain. As, with that look of disbelief. All Might will come in, using Plus Ultra and saving both of them, but instead of, how would you say, All Might talking to Deku wouldn't really care anymore on, he'd be penalized by the heroes and whatnot, being there for at least a good 3 more hours, as the heroes just talk to him and why he shouldn't have done that. And at this point he does not care. This is the day that he permanently changed sides. And this isn't just because of what happened to his past, but also what happened by the interference and personality change and manipulation of the hollow that is inside Deku right now. So as it comes back, Deku would rip up or sell all of his All Might figures and, resemblance of merch and whatnot. Anything that has to do with All Might, either burned, sold off, or destroyed, or given away for free. So, yes. And as you know, that same thing with, Inko would still happen. I'm sorry instead of yes, you can become a hero. So Deku would still love his mother, but he wouldn't respect he would, but you know what I mean. He wouldn't have that same connection he has to Inko, as in canon. So yes. Hold on. I need a drink of water. Or in this case, Gatorade. Anyways. Okay, I need to slow down on what I'm saying. I was breezing through that though. Anyways, yeah. What would happen after the 10-month stop for UA? Deku would still go to UA as the 10-month start for training, as eventually the Hollow will manipulate Deku to the point of not villainy but vigilante work, killing not heroes but villains, and killing some heroes that were abusing their power and harassing some people. So his kill count will at least be 15 over the first month. So yes, he'll be the first hero killer, but people wouldn't really know what to do since there were no evidence, and due to Deku being very smart and whatnot, he would leave no evidence behind, as if no one was there. There would be no fingerprints, no weapon, no nothing. I guess why? Hold up. Was that right up enough? Yes. Because let's say he does know, instead of killing them with weapons, he would do it with his own fists. Or find ways of, poison. You know what? It technically wasn't him. It was the Hollow. And due to Deku still being smart, the Hollow wouldn't take over. But Deku wouldn't remember anything what would happen after that. And so people would just call him, the masked figure. And so what would happen is that Deku would train his muscle mass. And eventually, the Hollow would eventually make its presence known inside of Deku's mindscape. And they wouldn't get along, but they'll eventually respect each other, not get along, but respect each other. And eventually, after the 5-month period, they'll probably be kind of like they will know each other. They'll know that each other's there. Practically, they will respect each other's ideals. But like the Kuruma chain, if you don't have enough, insanity, like mental blocks or whatever, you still, your mind and whatnot, things will happen. You lose control. But that is only, that was just, he's only seeing the mask, though. He's not seeing the actual, hollow. He'll make sure the hollow, this mask. And so eventually, Deku would see hollows all over town due to the reawakening of, the hollow. It's this specific hollow. So, things will happen and whatnot. Deku wouldn't know what would be going on. And eventually, Deku, after saving some people, from hollows, he wouldn't get anything. He would see hollows, but he wouldn't be able to do anything. The only thing he would be able to do is help the souls escape. And eventually, he would meet one of the... he would meet a specific... if you even can call it a sorority... he would meet Yoichi, practically. Yoichi, the cat. Black cat. Or in this case, purple-haired anime waifu, practically. Cat girl, practically. Yoichi. This would be happening when, Yoichi, I guess Yoichi would be not a captain, but she would be a Soul Reaper or somewhat. Not a Soul Reaper, but she'll be, she'll be, since she was, I think exiled in the original, Bleach. She was exiled for some reason. So the same thing will still happen. Yoichi will meet Deku while, Deku's trying to save, a person. At least his first person he's trying to save from Hollow. And this would be the first, as same thing with every other hero. Yoichi will give Deku the same, talk. There would be some clarifications that I thought only I can see. And he would start questioning. They'll start questioning each other, but before long, hollows will start appear. So Yoichi pushed him into a trash can to protect him. At least that's what she thinks. As she could continues to beat the crap out of every hollow she sees with them flipping fists, I guess. Should I give her those giant gauntlets? No, you know what? No, not now. She would use a flash step and a knife or something. Would she have a Sanpakuto? I guess she would in this scenario. I don't know how she would do it, but she would, even without Sanpakuto, I guess, she would defeat hollows, and without it, I guess, just by flipping, I don't know, beating upon them. I don't know how she would just beat flipping hollows. So yes. And after that, Deku would just walk across the street, not going back home anymore. Because no one would, you would say... he would move out instead. Because he wouldn't want to be with his mother, which does not believe him. His mother's still trying to convince him to become a doctor or something. But due to him being quirkless, no one will really accept him in being so young. No one will really accept him as, anything else. No one will accept him for a job offer. So, yeah. As he walks on the paths of loneliness, he would eventually, after You know what? Instead of this being a 10 months, let's say it was more of a year, like a good year. Let's add like 2 more months. Wait, how many 12 months? Yeah, let's add a couple more months, a complete year. So what would happen is that after a while, Deku would full on be alone, and his mother, like, he would move out. Like, he wouldn't really live with his mother at this point. So like 15 years, his mother, like, he would be isolated, so his mother wouldn't really get to see him that much. So yeah, he'll be more on like alone, so his mother would never get to see him after the age of like, how old was he? By the age of like 7. At this point, he would just avoid his mother, and he would know exactly when, where, what time his mother would get home, so he would avoid perfectly. The only reason Inko would know that he was there is that, the food will always disappear from the fridge, so, that would be the only reason she knows that, Deku is still with her. And also, she'll see him once in a blue moon get dressed, or, like, get ready for school. So, that's be, like, once a month, not even. So, she, at that point, she wouldn't really, see Deku all that much at the age of flipping 10, so yeah. And at that point, hold up. I guess they would still until the age of 15 in canon. So he wouldn't move out at 10, sorry. But he would avoid his mom at all costs at the age of 10. Because I said he would be hiding his sadness because, people still bullying him. And at the age of 15, he would move out. And, he'll be all alone in the 10-month marking period. And I believe all the way back to 5-month marking period. And so, he meets Yoichi and all that. So, he'll be looking for apartments. But, since he doesn't have a job or money, he'd simply be homeless. And he'd rather be homeless than, have people, not have anybody to, doubt him and his capabilities. So, yeah. He would have, and 10 months would pass. He would train, like, his body and whatnot. And I'll say, eventually, let's say, no, not 10th. Let's say, since I didn't make this year, so 7th marking period. Let's reverse to 7th marking period. He eventually meets. He sees a hollow about to eat a girl. He doesn't know what hollows are yet. Let's scratch that. He thinks they're villains. At least the first one was humanoid. So yeah, he was like hollows would be everywhere around him, but he wouldn't know. He would see villains, but not, yeah, villains would, attack a lot more, but, he wouldn't see hollows. He would just think, Yoichi's laying out. He would think a very weird person that, it's like a person, but it's kind of like a spada, kind of. But not, it's like a hollow in the shape of a human. That'd be the one that Yoichi's looking at for. Or chasing after. So, after that, what would happen? Now we go to Deku trying to save a person, seeing the first hollow. If I said that he saved people from hollows, scratch that. He was avoiding hollows, or more like, he had voodoo vibes, so he kind of avoided places with a negativity rating under freaking rank of 5s, and, hollow spiritual pressure is a lot more higher than the humans. So, that's like all the time. So, he'll avoid those places, not really meeting a hollow eventually, to the point where he'll just be walking across a an alleyway. And the spiritual pressure will go off dramatically, because let's say, portals do still are a thing in Bleach. So that's why he didn't feel it before. He was just walking through an alleyway. And so while he walks through, he walks to an alleyway, sees a person getting attacked. The only reason he wouldn't feel the vibe yet is because, the hollow isn't fully outside of the portal, more like a hand. And so, the entire body of the hollow was out of the portal, and, he would finally get that vibe, that, 5-star vibe. So, yeah. And he wouldn't know what to do. He would push the person out the way, getting impaled, as, Izuku Midoriya gets impaled by the hollow. Not ripped apart, but he will get, stabbed, impaled, thrown to the side as he's protecting someone. And what would happen is that something awakens in Deku. I'll say just for convenience, there's a pipe next to Deku, and when due to Deku being a Soul Reaper and technically a Hollow, he would still have to, and due to anime plot reasons, due to Bleach characters never truly staying down for anything, Deku will grab a pipe and just shove it directly through the mask. Guessing breaking it? I guess he wouldn't break it, but technically killing the Hollow, because I'll say Hollows can also be killed by humans, but, you have to break the mask completely off, or either, penetrate the mask with a giant hole. Like, the entire mask has to come off. So, after, the mask and the entire mask, gets destroyed by, Deku using batter, whoop! The Hollow would eventually scream in pain, and after that fall down as some white particles start to form on Deku's face. And Deku would feel a sigh of relief. So eventually, he would know what Hollows are. He would have to kill his first Hollow, and eventually, over the 10 months, 7th, 8th now, Deku will be killing Hollows. At least, easy Hollows, Hollows like, I guess small Hollows, I guess. Until he meets, the fisherman. Because I say this fisherman still exists. So, and I'm pretty sure that's not a normal Hollow. So after a while, his mother will be killed by the fisherman. Due to her, she has, I guess, a phone, Wikipedia. She'll be fishing, and, the next thing Deku will know is that, how do you say, he saw something in the picture, something in the, like in the darkness, as, he went, he went to go visit his mother for, I don't know, in months. So, he went to go visit his mother and actually see her face to face. Noticing that she was not there because let's say it's at nighttime. So he'll get worried as, he'll walk around the city trying to look for her, and eventually he would see her walking to an alleyway, but he will be trapped by the fisherman. Or more like a person, another person was in the alleyway, which will be Himiko Toga. Ooh, I'm going speeding through this. Anyways, yeah, Himiko Toga will be trapped and about to be eaten by the Hollow fisherman. And so Deku will show up, and this will be... Why not? Let's say he killed 9 Hollows instead of 10, because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of small Hollows. It's just hard to find them. So yeah, he wouldn't mess with anything above 10 feet. So those flying Hollows, those those bird Hollows, the little Hollows that are easy to kill, he would kill them. So yeah. And this would be his first big Hollow, very big Hollow. So he would usually avoid big Hollows, but he was what I want the person to kill, and then he would walk away until he hear a familiar voice, as the fisherman's trying to lure his prey into his mouth by using Inko's voice, or Inko's figure, and Deku would see this, and he would understand now this hollow has some type of quirk, or he would understand hollows, but he would understand that there's some type of beings that have abilities, so he would think it's a quirk, but it's not. So he would turn to his mother, and what would happen is that as soon as that happens, Deku, with bloodlust of over 9,000, a rage over 9,000, he would grab the pipe in his hand, or I guess it wouldn't be a pipe anymore, I guess it would be some type of crowbar or something. He cocks his hand back, runs, and just, like a mini Cyril, just obliterate like half of the entire block, awakening his mask, his hollow mask. Due to also, being penetrated by the hollow earlier, his first hollow, leaving a hole in his chest. So yeah, he would, dead, check. Due to him being a Soul Reaper, he wouldn't die, but still being impaled. So the hollowification will take place, and he will gain his first hollow mask, which is gonna be the full white hollow mask. And there'll be other hollows. Let's say the fisherman can also summon hollows. So it'll be right before he died, or cut in half by a Cyril. Other hollows appear, and at that point, he would have a bit of a hollow. He would be here. Yeah. Eventually, hollows will start forming. Like, let's say there's like 3 or 4 hollows and whatnot. Nothing more, nothing less. So he will get a dramatic hollow increase in power. So, everyone, or like everything in like the block. Because he destroyed like an entire building with that. Not a building, but he destroyed like an entire first floor. So yeah. So anyways, due to the hollow abilities, he would gain, a small version of Cyril, able to destroy at least a good first floor of a building. Not that strong, but still pretty strong. Until he would hear a name, or, a certain word. Burn! Kill! Scatter! And if you don't know whose Bankai that is Ruki, I think, not Ruki, as I'm flipping, what was this dude man's name? Byakuya's back. I'm butchering his name. Byakuya's Bankai. And after a while, Byakuya would finally, make it to the source of all the energy. And it's practically Deku, holified, I guess somewhat holified Deku, versus full-on Byakuya. So yeah. As you know, right as Byakuya was about to kill Deku right there on the spot with, Toga behind him, there was a certain yell, you would say. As you know, something inside Deku was like, nah, I'm living, I ain't dying. I have not been freed enough. After being freed, I do not want to go back. I am not dying today. I'm not going to Menace Granda again. I'm not. So, he was like, yo, sorry for this kid, but I gotta take over your body. Yeet! As you know, this starts to form on Deku's face. The half mask. And, at this point, the Hollow isn't evil, but it's more of a father figure to Deku at this point. Because Deku would see it eventually after, dying several times. And, the Hollow keep on bringing them back. So eventually that communication between him and the Hollow will eventually appear. Their swords will clash, as Deku has now summoned his son Pakuto. As you know, they're clashing. And, you know, scatter, like, Byakuya, since it's been a while since Byakuya has been to, you know, Earth, or, you know, the overworld, I guess. Byakuya wouldn't be as strong as he would be in Canon Bleach, in, you know, the world of the living. So he'll be a bit weaker, at least to Neji's level, I think. The dude who has the Sabamaru sword, or Bankai. So yeah, he'd be at least that weak. And swords clashing. So yeah, sword be clashing. Everyone hears just a clashing of swords, like doosh, doosh, doosh. Until people start coming, and, you know, Byakuya sees this as a bad thing, because, you know, the more negativity this man pulls out, the more hollows are going to start forming around him. And, you know, hollow Deku, or, you know, the hollow inside of Deku finally notices this, like, oh snap, this is my problem for not concealing my flipping soul pressure. Flip. So, you know, he returns back, and, you know, Byakuya also returns back as Toga and Deku run to, I guess, somewhere where the people aren't. So yeah, as you know, people finally arrive, seeing nothing but, you know, a destroyed structure, I guess. People thinking it might have been a fire, you know. People fighting with quirks, you know, just vanished as people started to come. So yeah. Speed round. Oh my god, that's flipping. I've never talked to this fast in my flipping life, bro. For real. Anyways, that is practically part 0 to what if Deku was hollow. For the more or less complicated part, a much more less complicated part, or part 1, I guess, because this will be part 0. The more or less complicated part will be coming out tomorrow or today, later on today, depending on how much energy I feel. So yeah. Anyways, the basic part would be coming. The basic part would be coming out tomorrow or today. Don't know when. Come up sooner. Comment down below what if I should do next. Since I just wanted to get this off of my chest. So yeah. This is Limitless from my Potato here, and I'll see you on the next video.